Welcome to the Love Pod, where inspiration, vision, and real connection come alive. Wherever you are, you belong here.
Welcome to the Love Pod, everyone. I am your host, Nathaniel. I am so pleased to welcome a wonderful guest today, Mike Pirie, who is a friend and also the founder of CryptoEase with Mike on School, the a family first DeFi community for dads and moms who are really worried about financial future and wondering how are they going to make not only their dreams come true, but dreams for their children. Mike, you have a gift of bringing a very confusing topic to a lot of people because so many people have not adopted cryptocurrency and it can seem overwhelming. And so you've packaged everything you've known. You've gone through the trials and tribulations yourself. And
So many.
I love what your bio said about you might not remember everyone's name, but you remember every crypto coin that exists. I think that's really fascinating. So welcome to the show.
I don't know where you read that. I don't know where you
Okay.
read that.
Plausible deniability. Plausible deniability. I
I
just would love to invite you to introduce yourself, Mike, and tell our guests what is your passion with crypto, and I'd love to
Sure.
talk about this with you.
That's awesome. Thank you. And thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And I'm so happy to have this be my first podcast ever here with you, Nathaniel.
All
Um,
right,
yeah,
let's
so all the
go.
power to you guys and your future growth. Looking forward to great success for you guys. So why crypto? And so I think a little bit of background is helpful. I was born and raised in South Africa during a tumultuous time in that country's history. But fast forwarding to compulsory military service, I didn't want to carry a gun.
Hmm.
And so short story, landed up going to the police force. And then I got into forensics. So
Hmm.
they put me through forensics training certification. And that really, really spoke to, some of my essence, which is finding needles in haystacks
Hmm.
and also dealing with super complex problems and being able to break those down and make them understandable in bite-sized chunks. So fast forward through the rest of my life, working with companies like Microsoft in different countries and that kind of thing. One of the biggest challenges there was exactly that, taking all of this tech,
Hmm.
cybersecurity, all that stuff, and breaking that down into biteable chunks that business level, C-level folks could consume. And then jumping over to around about May of 2020, my wife and I had just gotten off a cruise right at the start of COVID. We were in this
Hmm.
beautiful cruise bubble. It was the best cruise ever. It was an Abraham Hicks cruise.
Oh,
Um,
very cool.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh, and a side note, I'm a certified Reiki master as well, just to
Oh,
add a
that's
bit of woo-woo
amazing.
in for everybody.
Oh, love
Um,
it, love it. Universal energy. Here we go.
yes, sir. So in May of 2020, I was chatting with Hannah, my wife, and I said, listen, I finally got to pull the trigger on this crypto thing. I had signed up a few years ago for a wallet, but thankfully never did anything because that was Quadriga.
Hmm.
Quadriga was one of the biggest crypto hacks ever. The
Okay.
founder disappeared in Israel. Very
Wow.
mysterious. Whole other story there. But I got into Bitcoin. I started buying. I just knew that this is the place to be. I was still in stocks and I had my equivalent of 401k up in Canada, the RRSP, tax-free savings, the standard things we're supposed to do.
Hmm.
But I didn't have faith in the stock market, and I was seeing how manipulated the world was from my perspective at that point. And so I got into crypto. Fast forward a few months, I started getting deeper into the blue chips, so Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I was dollar cost averaging, which every newbie should look at doing. It completely takes the fear out of getting into crypto. So just plant that seed for the folks out there
Can you
that
explain a
have.
little bit what that is, Mike, for
Oh
those who
yeah, sure.
don't
Let me
know what it
segue
is?
for a sec. So dollar cost averaging. And if you have a Coinbase account, some people do, including my mother-in-law, Julie, they call it a recurring buy. But the real language, the real definition is dollar cost averaging, or if in the UK, pound cost averaging, or wherever you might be, is taking a small, well, not, it doesn't have to be small, but a predictable amount and investing that on a regular basis.
Hmm.
And so what you do is you become a racehorse with the blinkers on. You don't look at the market, you don't look at the apps, you don't look at anything like that. All you do is you take your $25 a month or your $1,000 a week or whatever works for you, hopefully money that you're not going to miss, and then you just go and buy. And what I recommend anybody starting out to do is ignore all the noise, ignore all your friends buying fart coin, just buy Bitcoin and Ethereum. Those two blue chips They're going to do their job. Okay. It's a volatile market. Strap on for that. You got to realize this is not your Tesla. This is not your Microsoft. But dollar cost averaging has proven to help a couple things. Number one, it takes all the fear out of buying because you don't care about the price. Every Thursday, I take my $50, I buy some Bitcoin. Done. Go hang out with the family, live your life. You go play in the snow because you guys got that now. And whatever you want to do. And over time, it's proven. There's a tool I'd like to share. Can I share a tool? Is that okay?
Absolutely. Yeah, right. Please do.
Go to uphold.com, uphold.com, and always be aware of URLs, folks. Scammers will try and advertise and use Google Ads to advertise false links. But this one's real. Uphold.com, they have a tool called the dollar cost averaging tool, which will work with whatever currency. You can go on there and you can play a game and say, if I bought $20 of Bitcoin a month for the last 5 years, how rich would I be? And I think you'll be impressed.
Okay.
So dollar cost averaging takes all the fear out. And then you're buying blue chips, which is always recommended for starters. Anybody, whether you're aggressive or conservative, you should have a blue chip foundation, in my opinion. In my bull or bear, we don't care, building resilient crypto portfolios. And so the acronym for that is DCA. And so in the group, when we're talking about DCAing, it's the verb for the term is dollar cost averaging. And that just, it helps you get invested. You feel like you're doing something. You take the fear out of it. And later on, depending on your goals in life or whatever, you've got an asset that you could put to work. And that's where decentralized finance might come in. That's something we'll get into. But that is answering dollar cost averaging.
I appreciate that. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I think it's very helpful. It also builds the consistency muscle, right? Of just doing something regularly and that compounding effect that everyone talks about, that this is a very active or a very modern way of practicing that muscle. So thanks, Mike. Appreciate that. So continue with the story.
You bet. So let's come back to coming out of May 2020, getting into Bitcoin. I was doing dollar cost averaging. I didn't even realize I was doing it. And so this is where the learning really started. Then I started to discover YouTube. And most folks who tap into crypto and get started, they land up on YouTube. Notwithstanding that all of the crypto news, the important crypto news, is on Twitter. All right. But that is a whole other minefield. And just a side note, if you ever hear of crypto Twitter, that speaks to the body of people posting crypto knowledge on Twitter. But a lot of folks land up on YouTube, unfortunately or fortunately. I went through a number of people that I was like, I'm not going to buy that ridiculous coin. And no, I don't care about Win Lambo. I care about my family. I care about, producing passive income. I care about retiring or my kids' college goals or any of that kind of stuff. And I landed up finding a couple of mentors. Now, no, not coaches. Found a couple of mentors and I started to gain faith. One of them gave me key advice. There's something that, I've acronymized as ABT, always be testing. If you're just getting started in crypto, even if you're a pro, you should know this. And if you don't, you should do this, is whenever you start something new in investing anywhere, not just crypto, folks, but is just use small amounts, test the full process. We're dealing with new tech. We're dealing with unfamiliar technologies and unfamiliar processes. We are not all experts. Now, sure, we all have, I believe, something that we're experts in out there. Okay. For me, this happens to be crypto and decentralized finance right now. And so I know for a fact that this will save you thousands, is always be testing. When you first see, some new wow investment and you're like, I got to get into this thing now, please take the extra 5 minutes. Just send $50 through the whole process from your Coinbase account or your Binance account through to your decentralized wallet. Test the whole thing, all of the, just go through it. Guaranteed you're going to save yourself thousands. So I followed that advice and then I started trusting, a couple of creators and started buying the coins. And I had faith and my partner had faith. That is such a key thing, is I recognize that, in partnerships, we each have different skill sets. And so one person is probably going to lean in more to understanding this whole area and wanting to do it, but you can't do it without your partner in a family. All right. Because if you're going to leave your partner out, that's going to backfire on you later.
Yeah, for sure.
We
won't go to the weeds there.
but let's fast forward. So, my foundation story is I didn't turn, but I started with $100 in Bitcoin in May of 2020. And less than a year later, literally, I had over $500,000 in crypto, and I
Wow.
was cashing out. I was doing
That's
30x, 40x,
unbelievable.
50x. I was buying things in November, December for pennies, and I was selling them for multiple dollars. And it was a heyday time. But the bull run of 2021, it's funny. One of my coaching clients was, I thought the bull run was 2 months long. No, we sat down, we mapped out on the actual, another tool that I'll share with you is called coingecko.com. It's a free tool. Many people are aware of it. It's a tool you can go to check the crypto markets. If you don't know what tool to use, check out coingecko.com, CoinGecko.com. It's entirely free to join. You got to give them an airmail, an airmail.
It could have been called airmail. Let's be fair.
You got to give them an email, but
Yeah.
otherwise you're safe. It's a good one. I trust it. I use it on my mobile, and so a lot of cryptos were booming at that time. But then there was a later phase. Ethereum's all-time high, by the way, folks, in 2021 during this bull run wasn't during all the heyday crazy activity of March, April, May. It was in November. So the bull run spanned different phases and a period of time. And there's capital flows and other things to be aware of. But what I love is taking all of that complexity and helping people like my mother-in-law, my close friends, people like you know, take those first steps and make it feel safe, make it feel like you've got a place you can call home. Because ultimately, you know, whether the content is up to date and things are always changing and processes are changing, as long as you have a place you can come back to where you feel like, I trust this person, and find your person out there. Maybe it's not me, that's fine. But find the people they're out there. You know, there's not all just win Lambos and crypto bros out there. There are regular, normal, sane people that will take the time to help you out. And we're out there. So that was the journey there. But then came the hard part. Was during that bull run, I learned some valuable lessons, not at that time, later, but at that time, you could literally throw mud against the wall and make money. It was insane. You see this thing going up and you, oh, I need more. And you buy more and it's going up more. And you're like, I'm so smart. I'm going to be, oh no, the bear market slapped me across the side face. And that's when I started learning the real hard lessons, not just about market movements and the volatility of crypto, scams, rug pulls. And me, a cybersecurity dude, I help, you know, critical infrastructure in Canada that I can't even talk about legally to secure their networks and protect them from, you know, nation state hacks and stuff like that. And here I'm losing thousands upon thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands in various, you know, crypto nefarious schemes and whatnot. And those are the lessons I like to help people, you know, really bring home. Sure, we all want to be in this digital age. We want to be in the new thing, but there's sharks in the water. And I want you to be the captain of your ship. I want you to stay high and dry. I don't want you to feel like you ever need to jump in the ocean for any crypto at all. And that's kind of, it was a metaphor that just came to mind. I hope it works.
Yeah, no, it does. I think it's actually a really beautiful service, Mike, because there are so many people who know that I mean, anyone paying attention knows it's going to be the future. When someone first sat down and explained it to me, I wish I would have just listened to that person, because then I listened to a lot of the other fearful voices around me, like, don't do this, and all this stuff. But he explained to me like the power of it in the simple example of like, it's peer to peer and with very, very minuscule costs. So we don't need to go. I mean, at this time, like if you're in the United States, if I want to send you an email transfer, I cannot do that through my bank. I have to do a wire transfer. I have to pay $15, or I have to download some other third party. It's probably going to take a bunch of time. But he gave me this illustration. He said, Nathaniel, imagine we're all connected in this network and there's like a farmer who has his crop is destroyed overnight and he needs to feed his family. Everyone could send that, a million people can send that guy $1 immediately from all over the world. All of a sudden, he doesn't have to worry about anything for the rest of the year. He's set, you know? And I was just like, and then he started explaining that blockchain is not just about currency. We could literally be voting on key issues, say, are we going to invade this country? And everyone could, because of the nature of blockchain.
It's funny you chose that. Okay.
Well, or yes, anything, right? We
right.
could say, are we going to do this as a people? And we don't have to rely on maybe people who are bad actors who have other kind of agendas that are not always forthright. You know, we live in a world, I grew up as a boy saying, well, politicians just lie to get their positions and then they do what they want. And I'm like, well, why do we tolerate that? That doesn't seem You know, like it just doesn't seem like a reasonable evolved species to do that. But anyways, back to what you're saying, just
Great
taking
point.
that worry off of the regular people who know that there's this shift happening. I mean, we see it now happening with more centralized forms of like of blockchain, right? This idea of this control panopticon wanting to have it. And so you're teaching about decentralized investments and to really kind of protect our future and for our children. And so I think
Got
it's
it.
beautiful, Mike. And I just want to plug this in for you because when I first met you, you were one of the most personable, caring people that I've met on school. Like just the
Wow.
looms you would send, checking in. You notice when people aren't in the community, you just say, hey, how's it going? I got really beautiful videos from you. We connected over family. We
Yeah.
both have connection to Ottawa. And I
Yeah.
just feel like not only is this what makes school beautiful, but it really stood out to me as a community builder. You have this gift of connecting with people and you come from a place of care. So I appreciate that very much about you.
Well, thank you so much for your kind words. I think we both share that gift, to be honest, and that for me was, a wonderful connection point. And we met at a super interesting time in my community's growth. But back to
Yeah.
your example of you're basically describing what is decentralized finance. So let me just roll it back a little bit,
Mm.
and let me use some of the metaphors I use. I hope they hit, but these are the things I use in my videos, one-on-ones with people. Is on the one hand, we have the centralized finance system. These are the bankers, these are the Coinbases, the Binances. These are corporations on stock markets. They are responsible to their shareholders. They don't give an SH1T about you or me. Okay.
Mhm.
Their job is to extract wealth out of us trying to make wealth. All right. And that's why you're paying a $5 fee to swap $50 on Coinbase. All right. When you're
Mm.
having a bad
Mm.
day, like me
Mm.
last week, trying to make videos for my community. And decentralized finance, we acronymize a lot of things. There's unfortunately a whole language that comes with crypto and DeFi, and that's one of the things we try to simplify. We have our Crypto Speak Decoder. We talk about these things as well, and simplifying that language, removing that complexity is a key
Mhm.
goal. But I need to use a couple terms to help distinguish these two camps. So the one camp is everything we know today, the bankers who want to make money on everything we're doing, and us just trying to eke out our existence. And please, sir, may I borrow some money
Mm.
to do what you want to do with your family? That's centralized finance. We call that CFI, CEFI. On the whole other side, we have this whole new world of decentralized finance, which has been born at least mostly 2020, 2021. And where we're at today is decentralized finance functions on the concept of a decentralized autonomous organization. The acronym is DAO. We call it a DAO. We all just say DAO. Whenever we say, oh, they got a DAO. Okay, cool. They got a governance token. Well, what is that? Think about companies and shares in the traditional finance world. If you want to invest in something, Tesla, Microsoft, whatever, you can go buy their shares. A piece of paper, it says represents some ownership in that company. But can you do anything with it? Well, typically no. They split out the voting and the ownership into two camps. Us, money slaves, we're allowed to buy into the company, maybe profit, but we can't influence their company or their direction. We can't bring our own experience to the game. You can do that in decentralized finance with a DAO. A DAO is owned by effectively the people. Now, some corporations own the token, regular people own those tokens, but owning a governance token in a platform, for example, Curve Finance is one of the OGs. Their governance token is called CRV. Another one that's really popular right now, and I'm happy to speak about these. I recommend these to my mother-in-law, so I'm okay with it because I got to sleep at night too. My family and friends are in my community, and that's always on my mind.
Mm.
Another one is Aerodrome Finance, and their governance token is called Aero, AERO. You're able to basically earn like a dividend, like you could in the stock world,
Mhm.
by locking these tokens up and earning passive income. That's one of the stories in the community. But back to the decentralized finance side, when you're a token holder and you hold that token, you are entitled to go and vote on any proposal that they put out. And they are not allowed to function without putting forth a proposal. And these get voted on, they get knocked down, they get adjusted, they get changed. And that speaks to part
Mm.
of what you were, describing. The other thing about the farmer and lost his crops and everybody could send him $1, that speaks to interacting with decentralized finance and having a decentralized wallet. Now, unfortunately, a lot of people get confused, and some of the CFI guys, the centralized guys, do this on purpose. They play with words. This has been thing. They've been doing this to us for years. And so you have a Coinbase account or you have a Binance account, and you feel like, oh yeah, that's a wallet. Well, no, it's not. It's an account on some computer somewhere. They control your money. You gave them your ID. It's the standard world. Over in decentralized finance, we have the concept of a self-custody wallet. A self-custody wallet looks kind of similar. You're doing it in your browser. It feels familiar, but that interacts directly with the blockchain through third-party validators. Okay. And that's a whole other economy that exists and speaks exactly to what you're doing. Where in decentralized finance, one of the core concepts is you have full control over your money. Nobody can stop you. There's no intermediary. You don't have to go to Coinbase to say, I want to buy this. You don't have to go to your bank to say, I want to borrow against my assets. You do it yourself. You are doing it yourself. You are in charge. Sure, that comes with complexity and risk, and that's why the community is there to help, buffer that and help people in that. But that's where we have the power. That's where that million people could say, Nathaniel lost his crops. It's snowing in Canada. No one told us. Everybody's sending you $1 of fart coin. And
well, it's methane. I can warm my house with it.
You're starting a methane farm. Why not? But that entirely speaks to that. And that voting component, that's real. That's live today. We do that today. And in exchange for believing in a project enough to hold the governance token, remember, that's kind of the equivalent of a share.
Yeah.
And participating in those votes, we get to earn rewards and fees that they earn doing whatever their business is, which could be a variety of things, most of them financial. I'm going to stop there just because it was a lot.
Well, I really appreciate it. And I really appreciate the mind that you have of taking complexity and making it simplified, because I feel like I see two kind of bottlenecks to this. One is education and the other one is access. So there's a technological requirement for someone to start in this field. And sometimes you got to take baby steps for someone who's maybe not used to doing a lot of these things. So having someone to kind of hold your hand and show you, just like you said, that minimum amount, do the test, ABT, and then it's real, right? Because I feel like that's a big barrier for a lot of people, and there's fear there. So, in terms of the education and having a community where you can, because it's such an emergent technology and because the acceleration of change, I mean, I don't know how much like AI coming into the mix now is influencing the markets, and I imagine there's so much change, right?
That's a whole, you just opened up several cans of worms right there, Nathaniel.
Okay. Several cans.
To the point. So, people in my community that they're effectively boomers. I don't like bucketing people, but let's just use some common terminology to help, skip over a bunch of description. So the boomers have the money, and they are looking for ways to protect that money right now. Currencies are being devalued across the world. Crypto is one of the places you can do that. But there's this complexity. There's jurisdictional barriers. You got to worry about the IRS or CRA or HMRC coming after you for your money. You want to, look at other aspects like taxes and legal and that kind of stuff. But to your point, people like Louis, Julie, Heidi, and others that are getting up there, they recognize the value and promise of crypto and decentralized finance, but they're not necessarily ready to jump into decentralized finance. And so what I like to do is, like, when you get into, let's say you go out to, there's a ski resort near you called Mont Tremblant. I've been there many times. There's a beautiful spa there. It's called Scandinavia. It's one of my favorite places in the world to chill out. And they have a river. You can literally, in the middle of the Canadian winter, -40 centigrade. I don't know what that is I think that's also -40 in Fahrenheit.
It's around the same, yeah.
Okay, thankfully
they have a harmonic convergence at some point where we're all equally freezing.
Very cold, but you can go from a sauna or spa. You can go right in the river.
I've done that. It's beautiful. Yeah,
right, and it's super freezing. So what I advocate is dip your toes in the water. Let's take it easy. Let's do crypto for newbies. We all recognize the promise and financial opportunity behind decentralized finance, but we're not all ready for it. We need to allow ourselves time to acclimate. We need to allow ourselves time to start getting used to the tools, and that always be testing concept should be a real good seed in your mind. So some people just need to stay focused on their centralized account. just because centralized is bad and the banks are doing this, they've been doing it to us for decades, and we have thrived. Right now, we want to thrive more, but get started. Just get that centralized account. You unfortunately for us, and in a lot of let's call them first world countries, you cannot get to participate on the highway of decentralized finance unless you're using the on-ramp and the off-ramp to that highway that is centralized. They mandate that, it's legislated. You gotta go through that.
Okay.
But some people should just stay on that on-ramp until they're comfortable. There's another piece I want to insert at this point. For anybody taking this conversation seriously, and you should, when you feel ready to get into decentralized finance, there is a financial threshold that you should consider. And in my opinion, not financial advice, but in my opinion, you should really only look to get started in decentralized finance once you have a portfolio of around at least $2,000, $1,000 to $2,000. And the reason is you could get started earlier. There'll always be testing. I just advised this another day to somebody. I'm thinking about decentralized finance, don't have the money. Well, you can test now. Just use $50. Then you already know. Outside of that, though, there's transaction fees and some of these opportunities to get in with decentralized finance. You do need to have a little bit of money. You can't you can't walk in there with $10 and expect to turn 10, into 100 or even into 20. There's moving pieces to consider. I just want to add a sense of realism around that.
Yeah.
And there's no problem. Dollar cost averaging, speaking of the fear, dollar cost averaging will take that fear out. Stay on your centralized account, Binance, Kraken, Gemini, Coinbase, BitBuy, whatever it is, until you feel that you have a little bag and you really want to start putting that to work. Just like a landlord, decentralized finance. Here's a metaphor I use all the time. You're a landlord, you own a home. You want to make money on that home, so you rent it out. You don't sell a bedroom. You don't sell your asset. You worked hard for that asset. And, a 3-bedroom rents out for whatever. So go rent that out. You own the asset and you're putting it to work, earning passive income. That's entirely decentralized finance. We're owning the assets. We're putting them to work.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. I love how you make things into metaphors that are understandable to people, because a lot of these things are very ephemeral, and so I also am aware in your community there is I don't know if you've conglomerated them, or there's two communities, Mike, because you've provided this community for people to come and gather around this and have that support and have that all that organic learning that happens through conversations and stuff in your school community. But you also have service where you can walk with people one-on-one and help them kind of build that up to a portfolio where they can feel more comfortable to do it on their own, correct?
Yes, I do. And thanks for the opportunity to advertise that.
Yeah, of course.
So the value chain is simple. You can join our group, and we started out free. Nathaniel was one of our wonderful free men. Nathaniel referred so many wonderful people that I appreciate much more today than I did in the beginning, into our group that are now flowering. Those seeds were planted and those seeds are flowering, and I'm very excited about that. But at a certain point, I always knew that we were going to flip over to paid. And so that community, and to access a community that can help you 24/7, all this wonderful stuff we're talking about, it's $1 a month right now. It won't always be, but that's what it is today. Outside of that basic group where we have that community, friends and family all together, our binding ethos is something I call we're all going to make it together. And in crypto Twitter, there's this acronym that they use called WAGMI, WAGMI, and it says we're all going to make it. But you know what? People throw that around, that band-aid around, and they're like, yeah, I want to make it. I don't care about you. So I added together on that, and it sounds weird. It sounds stupid. It's WAGMIT. But we're all going to make it together. WAGMIT. That's the binding ethos behind any community that I have, and I have two. The gold community is very simply there for people who want to coach in their corner. Yeah. If you want to coach in your corner and you're like, Mike, I recognize the value in this approach, and while I could do it myself and take the time to do the courses and be part of the community and learn, you can either invest time. Some people want to go faster and they recognize the value of getting a coach on their side. I've learned that through my many businesses, and I provide that as an opportunity for people to get that weekly coaching, get that hand holding, walking step by step through on the computer if that's needed, or taking people on the whole other spectrum, like Alex, who is one of our star students, started last March, and he's flying. We spent the last 3 coaching sessions creating a super personalized exit plan. which if you think about it, is probably one of the most important pieces anybody should think about. Buying is easy. It's the exit we're looking for. That's the end. That's where our dreams live.
Yeah.
Is how we exit, or are we putting those assets to work? So that's the opportunity behind the Gold Group. Thanks for letting me mention that.
Yeah, of course. Well, I think that, I've invested in coaching in a lot of areas, and you don't always know what you're going to get in terms of a coach sometimes, especially if you're like, plugging into some of these big conglomerate coaching and, these big names that I won't mention. And I've had some good experiences, and I've had some okay experiences that didn't really get me anywhere. And I feel like the difference in school is that you really get to know people differently, because it's a community base. So like people can form relationships authentically on school that I've just never seen anywhere else. So I wanted to mention that because especially in this topic, I think it's so important to work with someone who has the real experience and knows exactly what they're talking about, especially because of the complexity. It's just such an important standard to have. And
absolutely,
there are a lot of, I mean, having a container is so important, because I've noticed this about, the crypto world is like, it's just like the velocity of things on channels. If you go to YouTube, you start trying to do your own research, you're going to, just like if you're learning about dieting, you're going to hear like, don't eat this, it'll kill you. And then you'll hear someone say, just eat this or else you'll die. It's like, so like, and I feel like we forget sometimes too that we are creative beings, and that this is like crypto and the white papers of blockchain are, it's a new thing. It's a creative element. This isn't like, there isn't guarantees in creativity always. And I mean, I understand we don't have to get into the story of the backstory, but even the story of the emergence of crypto, like who is Satoshi Nakamoto, and all these things, like there's a lot of mystery, and there's also the human ego involved too, right? So there is like elements of, like you said, scams, greed, things like that come into a thing that was originally designed to be a level to level the playing field, so that we could all be on a more equal terrain. And I just want to say, Mike, I really appreciate the acronym. I feel like it's not only symbolic of crypto, I feel like it's symbolic of this era we're going into. It's an era of transformation, and so many people are in fear, are worried, and just having this sentiment that we are not even just a sentiment, this philosophy that we're going to get through this together, that we're interconnected, that we're one peoples, and we're gonna elevate. It removes the walls that have erected between the polarities that we've seen, especially in recent times. So I just really appreciate the holistic perspective that you're coming and really making this a family-friendly conversation, because it's very important.
It's so funny. And, the whole concept of, getting a coach on your team, whether you put in the effort or you pay for the effort, you're paying one way or the other, either through your own, time. But, time has value to me. I have a young daughter. I have a beautiful wife. And a wonderful life that I still want to participate in. And I recognize the value behind the effort that I'm doing here. The conversations we have, the conversations I have with community members, I know that I'm adding value, and I sleep well with that. But at the same time, I have goals in my life outside of this. Surprise, surprise. I actually do want to travel. I want to spend time with my little daughter and, grow up and be a dad. And so hiring a coach, without sounding salesy is that's something I learned early on. Back in 2017, my wife and I started a digital media company. And at that time, I really didn't like the dude that we learned through. So we actually set out. I was like, you know what, for once, I'm not going to do it myself, be that independent South African, a farmer can make a plan, as we say, a boer kan maak 'n plan. Sorry, that's Afrikaans.
I love it.
And I'm going to go and hire a coach. And so we went to the person that we did a course through, and he offered it was a 5-figure coaching program. It was a huge lift for us to do it. Mm-hmm. We were out at a weekend event, and he pitched, a room, 130 people, and 10 people signed up, and we were one of them. And my good friend Alex, who's in the community, was also one of them, and that's where we met. And very smart guy, very system thinker guy. And we started there, and that is really where I got to appreciate, for better or worse, the pros and the cons of getting a coach in your corner. Number one, did it accelerate our results? 100%. 100%. Would I want to go back and live that without a coach? No, I would not. And so coming over to school, by the way, we have history. Our community is 3 years old, maybe more. We started on Discord, which some people
Okay.
might know as a gamer app. Oh boy, that was a bad choice. The newbies were floundering and I couldn't articulate the value. Anyways, then we hit Patreon. Patreon got better. The value got articulated, but Patreon is a really bad social app. In my opinion, it doesn't facilitate that. And so then I was leaning back on Discord. And then my members are like, well, we're not interacting in Patreon because we got Discord. We don't need it. And I'm like, no, this is not what I want. And I started on a journey to find an app, and I'm so happy and grateful that I landed on School. It levels the playing field. It allows the Mama Julies of the world, the Louis and those folks. It's an easily accessible app. There's familiar concepts of social media, but then there's also the depth and the ability to deliver, high quality, coaching and also courses. And bringing that back to the coaching side, one of the first things that I recently did is, I went out and got a coach. I'm on School. I've chosen this platform. I'm doing the best I can, but could I do better? We can always do better.
Yeah.
And so and now I have a couple of coaches on my team there, and looking to basically work up what is a version 2 of CryptoEase with Mike, having that underlying community there, through that entire journey. Come and join us if you like and be part of that, building that out. Nathaniel was one of our original builders, and absolutely threw himself fully in there, not even understanding crypto, but still so willing to give and bring people and be. Nathaniel, we had a contest to grow our community. Nathaniel won the contest, and he turned around and was like, well, the rules weren't really fair. And I'm like figuring this stuff out. And, you were so gracious. Like, you gave your prize out. We went back and we gave the prize out again.
Well, I wanted to see you continue to grow. I do really think this is important.
And we did. We did.
Yep.
And now, that dust has settled there. We have the opportunity to, you can do it yourself, and it's entirely fine. There's everything you need is there. It's just a matter of, do you want to go deeper or do you want to go faster? And having options that are entirely options, you can choose when it makes sense for you. And one of the topics du jour in the communities I'm in is the amount of active people. And the fact of the matter is, finances are not always front and center. We're not always, staring at our dollars. We have families, we have work, we have, getting to the gym and doing groceries. So there's other things going on. We're not always going to want to be active. And so having a community that's there when it's the right time for you also makes a lot of sense to me. So dipping in when it works, dip out when it doesn't.
Well, and on that note, though, I would also add to it, Mike, that, because it really is authentic community on School, people come in with their whole selves. And I feel like this is an adjustment for a lot of people who are coming from other social media platforms, who are maybe just focused on like one thing. And then all of a sudden someone's asking, like, you're in a crypto community and says like, hey, what'd you have for supper last night? Like, what? And for like, especially hardcore marketers coming in and trying to promote themselves, like they get shooed off a lot because that's just not the vibe of community. I mean, if someone came to your housewarming party and started pitching their high ticket coaching everywhere to every person they talk to, I mean, you'd be like, can you stop or go? Like, it's just not the place. Right? So, I really feel like School is a blessing to us all. And I can, my spidey sense, in all that I've seen School evolve in the short time that we've been on there, my spidey sense is saying that School is going to evolve into something that is probably going to be inclusive of like blockchain technologies at some point in the future. It's probably going to be expanded in terms of how we interact even between communities. I have envisions for this, and I really feel like those of us are here who are still early in the School ecosystem are shaping the way things are going to evolve, because our voices are important, just like you were talking about having those those coins.
Huge point. And I want to pull that back. I want to take a step back. So one of the lessons I teach people as well, from an investing perspective, especially when you're new, people they'll buy. It's a segue, but it's not. I'll loop us back. They'll buy like a little bit of Bitcoin, and they'll be like, I bought my $50 of Bitcoin, and oh my God, it's only worth $40. And there's huge volatility in the crypto side, and you just got to accept that. And that's part of the reason the community is there. We're all headed there together, and we'll bring you back to reality. But the lesson there that I want to impart is, when in doubt, zoom out. Okay, you may have just bought your $50 of Bitcoin, but take a step back. Take that graph on CoinGecko. Go to the max time frame that Bitcoin has been around. Where did Bitcoin start? You could have got it for pennies.
Yeah.
Look at where it is at today.
Yeah.
Do you see any other stocks out there doing something similar? Not necessarily.
Well, I also say what you say when you zoom out. What you see when you zoom out is you'll see Fiat going.
That's a great point. That's a great point. I wanted to reconnect the dots though. Back to where you're talking about school and,
Mhm.
and digital and blockchain. And I want to say this. My prediction is it doesn't matter what school does, whether you like it or not. The entire financial infrastructure is being changed under your feet today.
Mhm.
Legislators are doing it. Politicians are doing it. Protect your wealth.
Mhm.
Do what you can. Like, we're all doing the best we can. We can always do better. But if you believe in crypto and blockchain, and I'm not talking about other things that might trigger people like CBDCs or the Clarity Act or all of these other pieces specific to other people's agendas, there is opportunity here that can be asymmetric, but it can also be done sensibly. You don't have to go and buy a Pepe coin and bank your entire life's worth and work on some random meme coin. You don't have to do that. We can do it sensibly. We can do it together. But whatever school does, and I'm super pro, assisting in any way to help shape that out if there's ever the opportunity. But whatever they do, the whole world is changing. Whether we like it or not, it's happening now.
Right.
One of the themes, and I just want to throw this out as kind of a theme of the day, is the theory that America, their debt, all governments have been set up to basically fund our lives and programs based on debt that can never be repaid.
Yeah.
It's programmatic, it's structured that way. But America, it appears, is basically doing a setup where, oh, hey, crypto's the new thing. Let's go over here. And we're just going to walk away from this dollar debt, and we're going to call it, it's dollar-based debt. It's not in digital money. So we don't have to pay that once we're over here. And so that becomes a theory that a lot of people are feeling, oh, maybe that's how the whole thing gets, kicked off on the digital side with stable coins and all that stuff. So something to pay attention to there, just to offer a little bit of pertinent, now value.
Super important. Can I just plug something in here? And I know we have limited time together today. Maybe we need a part 2 of this conversation.
Oh, I would love that opportunity. Just to hang out with you, actually.
Yeah, well, and I've considered doing even maybe some panels to add some other like multidisciplinary
I could think of people. I think we know some people.
Yeah, we know some people. So we'll plug that in as in the parking lot and plant a seed there. And we'll have to bust up the asphalt, I guess, to make it grow. But because I just wanted to say this because I can see where cryptocurrency is also meeting this world of sovereignty. A lot of people are awakening to some of the imposed systems that we didn't really consciously agree to, like the contracts that we're born into, and there's a lot of people awakening to this, and also is a very complex field. And when you start
can be quite triggering for some people, right?
For sure.
Polarized,
But one thing you said about that shift that's happening, it reminded me. So, I don't know all the history of this, but I feel like words are important, and a lot of words have been absconded to for certain agendas. And the word jubilee comes to mind. We're shown this word jubilee as like the celebration of royalty every once in a while, but actually, my understanding is jubilee is actually a time where all the game of finances is meant to be reset, because otherwise it gets so imbalanced that we are not. You can't participate anymore. The gap's too wide. When 1% of people have 99% of the wealth, how can you ever expect to grow? And it just gets wider and wider. So a jubilee is meant to just reset everything, and it sounds like this is what the United States is positioning itself for. So that's very interesting to me.
That's fascinating. Let me throw another sort of side ball in here, side curve, whatever they call it, curve ball. I was never very good at cricket. I played rugby, and now people expect me to understand basketball. But so a curveball there is actually recently, a mutual friend of ours is Tommy. He recently posted a video in his community that was going back to what was before money. And in fact, it wasn't that long ago. And it was again, this can be a triggering topic because it really can pull you and cause you to question things you might not be ready to question. But this particular video was super well laid out, and it was a half-hour walkthrough of what happened before the Rothschilds and banking. Was the guild system. And helping out the farmer with the dollar when the crops fail, that speaks entirely back to that system, which produced some of the most beautiful architecture, buildings, professions, and that whole master craftsman, ethos, and taking that and then industrializing that and creating two distinct classes, forget about
Mhm.
middle class, where 1% holds 99% and we got the rest.
Mhm.
And Jubilee, when you said that and described that, it made me think back to that. That was a negative, I feel, Jubilee. And are we, in a point where that could happen again? I believe so. I believe that, with the way that, we're all awakening now in different aspects and not getting distracted and focusing on the crypto side. I believe for myself, for my family, my friends, and the people I care about, including you in our community, this is the one place we have a shot. I believe that wholeheartedly. I was in stocks. I was in all those things. I've done everything else. And I still have, some precious metals and that kind of thing. I think a lot of smart people have that. But I am 100% invested in crypto and decentralized finance. And I recognize the sharks in the water. I see the meme coins. I see the regulators. I see all these things. And it's all about helping us be captains of our own ships and all sailing together in a flotilla. Don't just follow me. Learn to fish. Let me help you learn to fish. Don't just, buy my fish.
Yeah.
And we can all make it together. I really believe that opportunity. And that's, that Jubilee, that I just learned something. I'm so excited going to explore that more after.
Well, I think a big part of the awakening is actually a remembrance of the utility of things. And when you mention precious elements, we often think of them as value holdings, but even gold is a very it's a very important element in a lot of technologies. It's one of the rare elements you can make of really super thin. They used it, we know, in ancient times for a lot of
silver,
purposes.
More so. Sorry to interrupt.
Silver, exactly.
Silver,
and if we look at our
so.
society nowadays too, copper is so important. And it's interesting how we've positioned those. We don't have the time for that to get in that conversation, but I really feel like the utility, and when we look at Bitcoin, we look at Ethereum, have different functions. They do things. There's a utility, right? And even just blockchain itself is about that that security element, because now we can not only see where the coin has gone, but there's this safe way of, you can't just print a bunch of random Bitcoins. It doesn't work. So we actually created a technology that allows for us to have more honesty in our society. And I think that's why it's really transparency.
Absolutely.
It's pushing up against some of the edges of people who maybe that things are not transparent.
Wow. I could see 10 more podcasts easily.
Well, you're always welcome back, Mike. I do know you have an appointment to get off. So I always love to ask our inspired guests here this one question. If you had a megaphone and you could talk to the whole world all at once, and everyone could hear you, what would you say to everyone?
I would say that, I live and breathe in my own truth that while I'm focused on the practicalities for my family, and you should be for your family, I believe that blockchain, crypto, and decentralized finance is the opportunity for us to break free. And for me and my goals, I believe this is an opportunity at time freedom. And this is why I dedicate every waking breath between, when I do have a job, between my family and friends, I dedicate every waking breath to furthering that for me and bringing that to others. I feel like we all need to help each other. We all have some expertise that we share that we can bring to this solution. This is what I can bring, and I believe that this way is a good way. There's not one right way, but I think people should explore that. Like if he said, say it in 10 words or less, Mike, please.
No, I didn't. No. I think it's a beautiful message, and I think it's summarized on your T-shirt. You want to show everyone.
Believe in something, folks. That's the slogan for Ethereum, and it doesn't have to be Ethereum, but it's a good one.
Yeah. I really appreciate you coming on the show, Mike. Blessings to you and your family, the whole community, and all those that you're helping uplift in a very important subject. It's so important that we rise to the occasion as a species in these emergent times. So thanks for clarifying things and making simpler and easier. CryptoEase, everyone. We'll share the links to the community in the show notes as well. And any other links you want to share like uphold.com and CoinGecko, we'll put as well, Mike. So we only have a few minutes. I just want to invite our daughter to come and say thanks for watching. Is there anything else you wanted to leave our audience with?
I'm excited to see what your next crypto step is.
Yes. Yeah. This whole conversation has been a nudge for me, for sure. Thanks, Mike.
All right, let's meet.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on. On that note, I'm going to invite Luciana to come up and just let all our guests, give
Nice.
all our guests thanks and a nice, easeful smile, because that's what
Let's do
she
it. Let's do it.
All right. Sounds great.
I'm excited.
Thanks for watching. You say ciao, ciao.
Bye.
I love you so much.